Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. We're almost at our target for our Egypt projects, and just a little time to go till my birthday. So grateful again for all of you who have contributed, and just a few $1,000s to go. So if you haven't, if you're able to, we'd be most grateful, and bless you for all you've done so far. Last week we spoke of forgiveness and its difficulty, but also of its necessity if we really want to claim to be Christians. Unfortunately, as I said, however much we want to avoid it, especially when we've been wronged through no fault of our own, it's a commandment of the gospel. I actually experienced this recently, and I'm not sharing this to blow my own trumpet, but precisely because it was difficult, I wanted to avoid it, and I nearly did avoid it. Indeed, I made all kinds of excuses to myself why I should avoid it. I had to make the decision that I better try and practice what I preach. So I had to make the effort to forgive someone who'd not behaved very charitably towards me. The experience actually brought great grace. So to repeat last week's message, we must at least try. This week, after reading a few passages from the Fathers of the Church, our nugget focuses on our own need of forgiveness, first and foremost from the Lord himself, but also from others. Non-Catholics, rather unfairly I think, sometimes characterize the sacrament of reconciliation or confession as the ability to sin, ask forgiveness, and then carry on sinning. Nothing could be further from the truth. In the first place, we allow the words of Jesus we heard last week to be applied to us, not seven times, but 70 times 7. God is rich in mercy towards the repentant sinner, and the gift, for that's what it is, of confession, is that it is a real encounter with the person of Jesus, who, as he said to the woman caught in the very act of adultery, also says to us, "I do not condemn you, go and sin no more." We must have, as we were taught as children, a firm purpose of amendment to be forgiven. We must try our hardest to avoid occasions of sin. But a firm purpose of amendment is not an avoidance of the possibility of our weakness, which is why that generous forgiveness is offered. Confession as a sacrament, an actual meeting with Christ, where he forgives through the ministry of his priests, is that most marvelous heavenly tribunal, where the judge finds us guilty and then frees us. St. Cyril of Jerusalem said, "Put off by confession your old nature." Our old nature is always inclined to slip backwards. Confession, the honest acknowledgement of our own faults and our own need to seek forgiveness, helps us to move forwards, to rise up again, and to continue our journey. It is, as we all know, an experience of humility, not humiliation, to confess, but truly an experience of healing. St. Augustine, a man who knew a great deal about the experience of human weakness, both his own and others, wrote, "Let a man's life be praised in so far as he asks for pardon." That's worth meditating on as the core of our nugget. How different from what the world thinks is praiseworthy. Our world is a world of unforgiveness, of the celebration of failure, and a gleeful exultation when someone falls, especially, of course, someone who can be accused of hypocrisy. Augustine, in words which sound extraordinarily contemporary, goes on, "But as for men without hope, the less attentive they are to their own sins, the more they pry into those of others." Let that also be our meditation for this week. Brethren, rejoice, be perfected, be comforted, be of the same mind, be at peace, and the God of peace and love will be with you.